Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. Um, Forbes breaking news is the channel. Um, we've got the press woman here for Donald Trump and the American government. I quite like the woman, to be honest. She's fairly hard hitting and straight to the point, and yeah, just hard hitting straight to the point. So she's here addressing the murder of the Ukrainian woman on the train by the black guy, randomly just murdered her from nowhere. I've just been watching ex-army Paz there, and he was making a video about it, and I don't agree completely. Like nobody done anything on the train, and he's trying to say because they were black as well. But I mean, there's a couple of factors for me there. One's shock. Well, there's a couple. Yeah, one shock. Well, some people didn't know it happened. To be fair, it happened that quick, and there was no real indication by the looks of it. If you weren't watching, so some people don't know it happened. Some people are in shock that it happened, and some people are scared as well. Like Paz is on about knocking the guy out, but he was a big guy. He was a big guy. So again, the woman sat to the left of the woman. Iryna, I can't say her name. Unfortunately, for the last, quite a hard name to say. Iryna Zarutska. Zarutska. So yeah, some people shocked, some people scared, some people didn't notice, and he is quite a big black guy. You've got to remember he's got a knife. So all this, I would tackle him to the ground and wait for the police to come. It's not necessarily what would happen in the heat of the moment when it's happened, and I think a lot of you would just be surprised, like shocked in a way that it even happened, and then again you take on a guy with a knife who's a big guy, like you could be ending up dead as well. God knows how many people then could have died on the train. So it's all fair and well saying you would have tackled him to the ground, but would you? Do you know what I mean? Would you? So I just thought we'd play because Donald Trump's.
Today, I would like to address the tragedy that has not received nearly enough media attention, the brutal murder of Iryna Zarutska. Here are the facts that many outlets have shamefully and intentionally failed to report until President Trump drew attention to it. On August 22nd, Iryna Zarutska was stabbed to death on the rail system in Charlotte, North Carolina, by a savage career criminal. This is a public transportation system that many in the area use every single day to go to school and work. Iryna was on the train that night traveling home from her job at a pizzeria, still in uniform from her shift. This beautiful, innocent 23-year-old young woman was a Ukrainian refugee who had recently fled her country for a chance at a safer life and a promising new beginning here in the United States of America. But tragically, a public transportation system in a major American city was more dangerous than the active war zone that she left. The president and the entire White House are praying for her family and friends during this unimaginably difficult time. But while we extend our thoughts and prayers, we must also seek justice for this crime and call attention to this heinous incident. Surveillance video of the killing was finally released to the public this past Friday. It shows the alleged killer, DeCarlos Brown Jr., pull out a knife, get up from his seat behind Iryna, and prepare to thrust a blade into her neck before the released footage gets cut. This is pure evil on full display. The most enraging and unacceptable part of this story is that her death was entirely preventable. DeCarlos Brown never should have been on that train that night. In fact, he should have been behind bars. DeCarlos Brown has been charged with crimes no fewer than 14 times, dating back to 2011, including for armed robbery, felony larceny, breaking and entering, and shoplifting. Brown had previously served 5 years in prison for a robbery with a deadly weapon charge, and he had also forfeited bonds 3 different times, twice in 2014 and once in 2023. Despite all of this past documented criminal history, when Brown was arrested yet again in January of this past year, a Democrat judge, I will add was a strong supporter of former Vice President Kamala Harris, released this insane criminal once again without requiring him to pay any bail. He simply had to sign a written promise to return for his court hearing. Think about how crazy it is to ask a career criminal, someone who by definition repeatedly breaks the law, to just sign a written promise and come back again another day. This is madness. This monster should have been locked up, and Iryna should still be alive. But Democrat politicians, liberal judges, and weak prosecutors would rather virtue signal than lock up criminals and protect their communities. And perhaps most shamefully of all, the majority of the media, many outlets in this room, decided that her murder was not worth reporting on originally because it does not fit a preferred narrative. Many of the journalists in this room spilled plenty of ink trying to smear Daniel Penny for defending a subway car from a deranged lunatic in New York City, but none of those same reporters lift a finger to write stories about an actual murderer. Here's the truth that every American must know. Too many innocent people across the country continue to pay the price of the failed experiment known as cashless bail that has been championed by the Democrat Party for years. All the way back in 2020, North Carolina's then Democrat Governor Roy Cooper established a so-called task force for racial equity in criminal justice. Sounds nice, but it's not. That task force was co-authored by then Attorney General and current Democrat Governor Josh Stein. It recommended, quote, reimagining public safety to, quote, promote diversion and other alternatives to arrest.
Yeah, and it's clearly just hasn't worked, has it? And it's a bit of a shit show. I was just watching a thing on Detroit there earlier, and fuck me, God, it's bad in Detroit. I'll maybe bring the video forth. To be honest, it's real bad. There's crackheads everywhere. Um, I mean, what's happened here? To be honest, um, America's had their Southport, and in the same sort of, I know it's not quite the same, and it's maybe not quite as bad as Southport, but it's still America's Southport. It's the moment where America and the world, but primarily America, as that's where it's happened. But the world, and again, the Western world, in maybe, but again, primarily America. The call's been called. It's here to the right. I've just noticed. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. As we see the same woman giving the same speech. Um, yeah, it gives me thoughts of Southport in ways. A senseless murder for absolutely no reason. And it's just that it's kind of another straw. Well, the straw that's broke the camel's back. Enough's enough. We've had enough of this senseless murders and violence. And again, Trump's been clearing the cities like DC and places like that. And again, rightly so, though, that's the problem. Like, whether it's New World Ordery or not, you can't live like this. You can't live like this. How what I just watched of Detroit there, etc. You don't. Nobody wants to live like this. Do you know what I mean? And again, they're not being racist, but you're just pointing out statistics and facts, as it says in many places. But it's always the black people. It's the black people running around stabbing people in England as well. Again, you go to all the places where it's predominantly black people or Muslims, and it's a shithole. These places, they're all shitholes in England. That's what's happened. And you go to the predominantly white areas, and it's still nice, and the crime rate's lower. And this is actual facts. These are actual facts, and crime statistics. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's as Paz says, it's our race, the white race, that's always on the receiving end of all this crack. Do you know what I mean? And then we're the ones that get called the racists, the most. But enough's enough of that as well. I think enough's enough of this racism crack. We're not bothered anymore. We don't give a fuck what you call us. To be honest, we've gone past that. So again, just brilliant words here from the woman, and it's something that needed outed and addressed, and Donald Trump has, and then this woman's come out and a scathing review of the Democrats and their policies and what they've been up to, and Again, letting criminals on the street, cashless bail, ridiculous ideas from the left. So, but to me, it's an American Southpaw, so to speak. As we see here, enough is enough. It's a kind of senseless murder of somebody. I know it's not children. Had it been children, it would have been a lot worse, obviously. But it's a senseless murder that didn't need to happen. That's just happened in broad daylight, as well in the public. Sorry, on a train, which is the more horrific thing for the American public, because it could have been anyone, could have been any single person sat on that seat. So yeah, it's enough's enough. Enough's enough of this. I'll just play at the end.
It also advised to de emphasize some felony crimes, prioritize, quote, restorative justice, and eliminate cash bail. Democrats in North Carolina and nationwide are consumed with pushing a woke, soft on crime agenda, no matter how many innocent Americans suffer as a result. Instead of aggressively prosecuting and locking up violent criminals, the Democrat backed cashless bail approach lets these criminals roam free in our country to offend again and again. These reckless policies have turned too many of American cities into hunting grounds for career criminals who mock our justice system, drain law enforcement resources, and wreak havoc on law-abiding citizens. Enough is enough, and that is why President Trump is doing everything in his power by taking.
It's been called. It's been called by the woman herself. It's not just the name of this title. Enough is enough. Enough is enough, and it's now the saying going around the world. To be honest, enough is enough. England's called it, Scotland's called it, Wales has called it, Ireland's called it, Northern Ireland's called it, America has now called it. We're waiting on the rest of Europe. We're waiting on the rest of Europe. It won't be long before France call it, if France hasn't already called it. I've seen some of the scenes over there today. So enough's enough.
Action to undo these absurd policies. The president recently signed a powerful executive order directing the AG to submit a list of states and local jurisdictions with cashless bail policies so that the Trump administration may identify federal funds that are being provided to these states and can potentially be suspended or terminated. President Trump firmly believes that to maintain order in public safety, we must incarcerate individuals whose pending criminal charges or criminal history demonstrate a clear, ongoing risk to civil society. This is a common sense and sensible approach that the vast majority of Americans agree with, and it's time for the Democrat Party to get on board with what is right.
Yeah, yeah, but they probably won't. They'll argue to the death. Well, there's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne, and all these Americans complaining. Basically all the criminals on the left wing, but there's a storm sweeping across America, and it's called Donald Trump. To be honest, it's called Donald Trump, and enough's enough. Again, she said it herself. She absolutely said it herself. Enough's enough of these senseless murders. Everybody sort of feels the same, and again, Southpaw was enough's enough. We've had enough of it now. We've had enough, and in the aftermath of it, we'll say what we want, and we'll say what the truth is, and we won't. We don't give two fucks if you call us racist. At the end of the day, this man even said that killed the white girl, so we're not wrong here, are we? So yeah, we'll leave it there anyway. I just thought I'd play the woman because enough's enough, and again, it's good that they've addressed this because it definitely needed addressed. You know what I mean? You can't just ignore. You can't just ignore senseless murders like this in the public in your country. To be honest, so I'll leave it there. Peace.